In the show Stranger Things, Lucas Sinclair tends to be the character people underestimate. In a show full of supernatural chaos, emotional extremes, and world ending stakes, Lucas is the one that keeps his feet on the ground. He's not the loudest, flashiest, or most dramatic in the group, but he's often the most grounded. And that's what makes him interesting to talk about from a psychological standpoint. Lucas shows us what realism looks like in a fantasy world. Not cynicism, not apathy, just a steady, practical way of responding to the unknown. And there's more going on under the surface than a lot of people realize. If we look back on season 1, Lucas starts off as the skeptic. While Mike jumps into helping Eleven without hesitation, Lucas holds back. He questions her, he doubts her story, and worries she might be dangerous. At face value, it can look like a lack of empathy. But what's actually playing out is Lucas's protective instinct. He wants to keep his friends safe, and he doesn't take things at face value. That kind of cautious thinking can get mistaken for negativity, especially in a group of idealists. But realistically, someone like Lucas is essential to a group's survival. He voices the hard questions. He slows the group down just enough to avoid blind spots. It's not that he lacks imagination, he just wants to see the evidence. What's interesting is that Lucas's realism isn't rigid. Over the course of the show, he learns to integrate trust with his caution. He eventually accepts Eleven. He falls for Max even when she pushes his buttons. And he steps into danger with just as much courage as the others. The shift isn't about becoming more impulsive, it's about developing emotional flexibility. And that's a key point. Realism doesn't have to mean being closed off. It can evolve into something deeply loyal, protective, and connected. One of Lucas's strongest qualities is his sense of loyalty, but it's loyalty with limits. He doesn't follow people blindly. When he disagrees with Mike in season 1, he says so. When Max joins the group and isn't welcomed by everyone, Lucas doesn't just stay silent. He makes space for her. And when the group's actions don't sit right with him, he steps back and speaks up. That kind of loyalty isn't about always being agreeable. It's about holding people accountable while still caring about them. Lucas's approach shows more emotional maturity than he often gets credit for. He's not afraid of conflict if it means standing up for what's right. And when he's wrong, he's willing to admit it. That kind of repair, saying sorry, making things right, is something that not every character in Stranger Things handles well. But Lucas does. There's also something important to say about identity and belonging. Lucas is the only black kid in the main group. The show doesn't draw a lot of overt attention to this, but that doesn't mean it isn't relevant. From a psychological perspective, being the only in any group brings a set of pressures. There can be a heightened sense of needing to prove yourself or to be careful about how you're perceived. Lucas navigates that with resilience, but there are moments, like when he's doubted, challenged, or left out, that feel different in that context. His frustration in early seasons isn't just about Eleven, it's about wanting to be taken seriously, wanting to be trusted, wanting his voice to carry equal weight in the group. And over time, that balance starts to shift. He earns that space, but it's not automatic. Lucas's growth also shows up in how he handles pressure. As the stakes get higher with each season, we see him become emotionally more honest. In his relationship with Max, for example, he starts to express affection and vulnerability more openly. He's playful with her, but also deeply supportive, especially when she's grieving in season 4. He learns how to sit with difficult feelings even when he can't fix them. And he chooses to stay present instead of shutting down. That kind of emotional growth often goes unnoticed in high drama shows, but it matters. It's what makes Lucas believable as a person, not just a side character. By the later seasons, Lucas isn't the cautious skeptic anymore. He's still thoughtful, he's still grounded, but he's more open, more willing to act without all the answers. He's no longer just watching the others take the lead. He becomes a stabilizing force in his own right. He supports the group through loss and chaos and constant threat. And he doesn't lose his moral compass in the process. What's changed is that he trusts the people around him more. He trusts himself more too. Lucas's arc isn't about going from scared to brave. It's about going from guarded to connected. That's what makes him such a psychologically rich character. He represents the kind of emotional strength that isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet, it's consistent, and it's deeply rooted in his values. He asks the hard questions, he keeps people accountable, and when it matters most, he shows up, not just with his words, but with his actions. So when we think about characters who evolve, Lucas deserves more credit than he often gets. He brings balance to a group full of extremes. He keeps things tethered to reality without shutting down the emotional side of things. And his growth shows that caution and care can coexist with loyalty and bravery and love. That kind of character might not steal the spotlight, but they often end up being the ones that hold everything together. And if you're interested in hearing some of my thoughts about other Stranger Things characters, I'd encourage you to check out this video. So that's all for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.